Hi, it's Travis from Brainpulp, and I'm going to do a quick review of my feelings on Halo 5. Well, I'm going to get to the actual game and everything in a bit. There will be spoilers, but first off, I want to actually introduce you to a friend of mine, and his name is Ness. Say hello, Ness.
Konnichiwa.
He's Japanese, so... Anyhow, he's going to be pushing 30. He's pretty old now, but the reason I want to bring this up is because this is a simple thing to play. You simply put a game in there, there's some bubble, and you play it. And you don't require a 45 gigabyte update. When I first put in Halo 5, it was about an hour to actually install the game. But then there was a 45 gigabyte update. And the next day there was another 7 gigabyte update. Now that's a lot. That's, to me, the size of a game is 45 gigabytes. I mean, I'm pretty old school. I guess I don't know how big games are anymore, but that seems kind of ridiculous. I'm not saying this is perfect. I mean, you always had to kind of blow on this to get it going. Like, you have to really get in there, give it like a really good blowjob. Sometimes you have to turn around, give a little rusty trombone. Don't Google that. But you could sit down and you could play the game, and you can't do that anymore with games. And I'm new to the whole next gen or whatever they're calling it now, and I find it ridiculous that I have to wait. And it took almost 8 or 9 hours with my internet speed to download a 45 gigabyte update, and it's getting ridiculous. I made a tweet that gaming is broken. I know that's a shocker. Fat angry nerd released his tweet about something he didn't, he was impatient about. But I think it's getting ridiculous that I got to wait that long to play a game that I don't even want to play online. I've thought that when I thought you were going to be able to play these games offline without having to do multiplayer, without having to download these huge updates. Because even on the last system, you'd have the updates, but if you didn't want to play multiplayer or play online, you could just ignore them and just play the actual game that you spent X dollars on. So, moving on.
Sayonara.
Moving on to Halo 5. I have a long history of Halo from the very first game. I waited in line to buy the second game in minus 17 degree weather. It was cold. Waited in line to buy the third game, and some guy came into line, walked in the store, and him and his buddy like, Dumbledore dies. And I guess they thought they were spoiling the Harry Potter thing, and then they walked out, and everyone in line was like, who are these guys? But Halo 5, I'll start with all the good stuff. It looks amazing. The first thing when I sat down to play, I was blown away. My wife, who hasn't really played much games since the NES days, as it were, walked by and said, "Oh my word, that looks amazing." I don't think she said, "Oh my word," but she actually bothered to note how cool it looked and the bright colors and everything. And I'm only playing this on a plasma TV, not some fancy 4K dealie or some HDR thing. But it looked amazing. I mean, the level design, everything. Gameplay was very fun. Lots of fun weapons, newer ones, old ones returned. I don't remember the name. It was a Thompson-like gun that was introduced in Halo 4. It came back. I think there's only one part in the actual regular campaign you got to use it, but it was fun. Just rapid fire like insane. And they even did some nice jobs of adding newer difficulties. I mean, the Promethean Knights now, when you face them, it's almost like facing off against a hunter. They're pretty serious. You have to kind of take out 2 little orbs on their arm first, kind of thing. And they even introduced almost a soldier class of the Prometheans, which it balances out. It's not just these big tanks, essentially, these little ones that annoy you, little flyers. It's this fourth kind of creature, and they can zip around really fast. They can phase in and out, and they definitely add a different level of difficulty. But they increase. You don't walk up to a knight and just think 2 shotgun blasts are going to take them out anymore. It's almost like mini boss fights when the knights come out. Now on to some of my griping about Halo. Biggest gripe I think has got to be the story. Just like with Halo 2, they divided it into these 2 characters. I mean, Halo 2 was the Arbiter and Master Chief, and for me back then, it took a while to like the Arbiter. It felt forced, just like with Locke. This one feels like they forced Locke on you, and I just want to play Master Chief. At this point, man, I'm like, why do I got to go through all this crap just to be able to play as Master Chief? And it made the storyline feel so divided, and I guess that's what they're kind of going for. But I much preferred for just playing as a Master Chief and being behind the one character kind of thing, instead of literally missing half the story. It seems you jump into this and you're chasing down Cortana, and you're hunting like your person who's basically helped you save the human race up to this point. You're hunting them down. No real. Maybe there was a bridging novel, I'm assuming, or novels that will explain what's happened since Halo 4, but it just seems like you jumped into it and you're trying to hunt down Cortana. The Chief's trying to save her. Locke's got his orders to, I don't know, bring her in, as it were. But that's the other thing, too, is it always seems like you've run out of ideas when you're turning one of the heroes into the villain. I think actually someone made that quote about the Batman v Superman. It's where you go when you don't know what else to do. So you didn't know what else to do, we'll turn Cortana into the enemy. And not to give things away, again, I gave my spoiler warning, but by the end, Cortana, using the Promethean technology, basically creates a body for herself, it seems, because suddenly she's not transparent and everything. And that would be really impactful and meaningful, especially for the Chief, get in there. But she just seems to phase out whatever she wants using the same technology. So she teleports there, and any kind of impact to her having a corporeal body is just lost. Then it's like she just and even the fact they can just beam enemies in and out doesn't really do much, because sooner or later it's like, well, why don't you just beam 100 enemies and bam, you could 10 knights. And they even do that in one cutscene to kind of end the drama and give you a escape scenario. But it's like, if they can really just beam in 100 enemies, why don't they do that like at any point in time? So it's fun in that sense, but it's like it just leaves you kind of thinking, why do they do it that way? So there's kind of my completely spoiler-ridden review of Halo 5. I did enjoy playing it. The open ending, just like with Halo 2, it bugged me. I mean, cliffhangers are okay when you're going to see an episode of a show the next week, but when you have to wait 3 or 4 years for another game to come out, a cliffhanger blows. It is not my favorite thing to have to put up with, is seeing cliffhangers. And this game was a huge cliffhanger. I mean, I haven't even heard peep about a Halo 6. Maybe they're getting the boot, because this one, I don't know if it did all that well, but I don't know. I just know that it's for $20. It was worth checking out. The campaign has a lot of fun gameplay. It's just a story that just kind of irked me and left me, I don't know. It left me wanting. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching all of our Brain Pulp stuff, and we'll see you again.